Having a good understanding of the different types of group leadership styles will likely be helpful information for you. In this video, we'll go over the different traits that can result in more effective group leaders. We'll dig in a bit more on the 3 most common group leadership styles, and we'll also cover some of the lesser discussed leadership styles that also exist. Before we get into that, let me introduce myself. My name is Keegan. I have a master's degree in counseling and I'm a licensed professional counselor. I make videos like this to help you better understand the world of counseling, psychology, and mental health. To begin, let's take a look at some of the traits of group leaders that tend to yield the best results. Overall, it seems that group leaders who demonstrate caring and empathy toward the group and the members of the group will find that these traits tend to be very beneficial for the group as a whole. Additionally, when a group leader can model appropriate behavior and group norms, this will often improve the participation of group members, even those group members who tend to be a bit more reluctant. Group leaders will likely find that as much as possible, it's helpful for them to reduce any risks or dangers associated with the group or toward group members. One of the most common and most important way that group leaders can do this is by covering informed consent thoroughly at the beginning of the group. Irvin Yalom finds that groups tend to have poor results when group leaders do too much or too little for the group. Therefore, he highlights how group leaders should find a balance in their approach where they're not doing too much or too little. There are 3 leadership styles that are often highlighted and that would be important for you to have some understanding of. As we discuss these, keep in mind that each of these styles has pros and cons that are associated with them. As much as you can, it's best to try to avoid labeling any of these styles as good or bad. Instead, I would encourage you to try to focus on the parts of each style that are helpful and when they're helpful, as well as focusing on the parts of that style that may not be as helpful and when they may not be as helpful. The first style is called the Autocratic leadership style, or sometimes called the authoritarian leadership style. With this style, the leader will be the one to make the policies for the group. This style also tends to be one where the group leader will give orders to the group members. In creating the policies for the group, the leader tends not to consult with the group about these policies and instead sets them on their own. Likewise, when giving group members orders, they don't often consider the wishes of that group member in assigning them different tasks. In a classic 1939 study, Lewin and colleagues found that the autocratic style resulted in children in the group being more aggressive. And it was also found that this was the style of leadership that children liked the least. Additionally, they found that this style could raise hostility within the group by as much as 30 times. Therefore, this style should be used with caution. That said, it is a style that is effective and important when immediate decisions need to be made, such as in a crisis situation. One thing to know about the autocratic style is that often when it's discussed, it's done so in a pretty negative light. With that said, the autocratic style is one where we could say that clear communication is often accomplished and that expectations tend to be laid out in a more clear and concise manner that tends to be better understood. The second leadership style is called the democratic style. When it comes to group leaders using the democratic style, they will set policies for the group with the help of the group members. Often group members will also participate in planning, resolving issues, and other decision-making for the group. For groups with a democratic leadership style, they usually have more originality, tend to have more enthusiastic group members, lower anxiety amongst members, and higher levels of participation. Going back to the 1939 study by Lewin and colleagues, children in a group with a democratic leadership style had the best behavior. However, the children were less productive than with the autocratic leadership style, but their work was of a higher quality. Also, keep in mind that this leadership style tends not to be the best if decisions need to be made quickly, such as in a crisis situation. Third is the laissez-faire leadership style, also known as the delegative leadership style. This style is often seen as the most non-threatening. Leaders using this style offer little direction, participation, or interference, opting for a more hands-off approach. In Lewin and colleagues' study, they found that this style also increased aggressiveness of the children in the group. The children were also less productive and tended to blame other group members when mistakes were made. In a situation where a group has come to a decision, there may be benefits for this style being used at that point. As we've discussed these styles so far, I've mentioned the Lewin and colleagues study from 1939. While their study did yield important information about leadership styles, and did find that leadership styles do make a difference for groups, it is important to highlight some of the limitations of their study. One of those being that the group was not actually a counseling group. A second important limitation of the study would be to note that the leaders in the group were all men. The Autocratic, Democratic, and Laissez-faire styles are the three most commonly highlighted leadership styles that are discussed. Next, we're going to discuss some of the other leadership styles that might be good for you to have some information about. But first, if you're enjoying this video and finding it helpful, please help me out by giving it a like and subscribing. When it comes to the other leadership styles that exist, the charismatic leadership style is one that I'd like to highlight. Broadly, with this leadership style, the leader tends to rely on their own personal charm and power. They'll usually have a magnetic type of personality, as well as an attractiveness that are both advantageous for them. These leaders can be widely admired, and Rosenthal notes how clients can adore this type of leader and often become irrational because of it. The American Psychological Association, or APA, highlights that this leadership style can often be seen in political and social settings. Next, let's highlight the confrontive leadership style. With this style, the leader openly discusses the impact that their behaviors have on themselves as well as the group members. They also will reveal the impact that the group members have on them as the leader. This approach will usually focus on the present moment. Third is a speculative leadership style. This style uses a here and now focus in their approach. It also focuses on the behaviors of the group members and leaders. Typically, this will be done by highlighting and emphasizing that current moment in the group and what is happening. This leadership style is usually seen as enjoyable by group members, and the group leader will usually be seen as charismatic. Rosenthal notes how leaders using this style will often be adored and looked up to. Neither the confrontive or speculative leadership styles are seen as superior in their effectiveness. With both of these styles, it's important for group leaders to be mindful that they're not imposing their own personal values on the group members. Briefly, let's highlight a few other styles and the qualities that go along with them. With an impersonal style, leaders will have a more distant but aggressive approach. An Energizer style may be more charismatic and bring more emotional stimulation for the group members. A manager style will often have an approach where they exert more control over the group. Lastly, with a provider style, these leaders will have an approach that places a high emphasis on a style that is seen as more caring by group members. This brings us to the end of this video on leadership styles. If you have any questions, make sure that you put them in the comments below. While you're here, check out some of the other videos on my channel. Thank you so much for watching.